Okay, I thought I'd do a short video here about weathering, and it's a very difficult situation. Weathering, it's having the bottle to actually weather a loco without ruining it. So sometimes you've got to take a step. I've got a Class 56, a Carol X1 away at the moment to be weathered, but while that's away I thought I'd have an attempt to weather a couple of locos, and I'm very pleased with the result. So the first example is this Bachmann 03. I've weathered this with weathering powders, and I did a slight weathering on it a few years ago, but very slight. So what I've done here, I've used a white weathering powder to give that faded look on the BR blue paintwork. So basically the sun's got to it and bleached it. So look on the top, there's a bit there as well. You can pick it up with a light here, but it has been weathered down. But I like the look of this, the way it's gone. And obviously I put some oil stains like on here, around where the vents are. Just make it look real and grimy, as it would be. So shunters were left out in the sun quite a bit. I've also done the front end as well. So I don't know if you can see on the buffers, I've done a bit of grease on there. Basically dipping a cotton bud in Nuln oil, I think you call it. Some kind of oil. You get, it's the wargaming people that use it. So that's been dipped in there, and then dipped in soot weathering powder on the buffers. So it's given that real rundown effect on the 03, which I like. So I'm quite pleased with the result there. Took about an hour to do, not long really, an hour and a half. So that's the 03 done. I'll show you the other side in a minute. Okay, next to that is the Sutton Locomotive Works Class 24. So I've weathered this model, which is one of my favourite models, and I spray painted the bogies underneath and part of the battery box, etc. A very light coating of dark brown from Humbrol. So it gives that earthy effect on there. Added some weathering powders, like a little bit of rust to the frame there. And I can see on the fuel tank, bit of gloss paint there, very lightly, where it's leaked. Or oil as well, I suppose. The fuel tank's leaked a little bit where it's been filled, or been missed on the oil tank as the pipes come out there. And on the vents you've got obviously weathering powder there, and a little bit of rust around the side, or dirt around the side. It could be dirt, but this has made a huge difference to the loco. Takes that little plasticky look away, which wasn't too bad on this. Obviously it was a fantastic locomotive. On the roof, more weathering powders, a soot colour. Not done the fan, but that's just weathered the roof down to make it more sooty and realistic. Grime and dirt. On the buffers here, again, I can't even say this, Nuln oil, it's from the wargaming guys. Dipped in a little bit of weathering powder, then dipped on the buffers with a cotton bud to give that grease effect. It stands out a little bit, so it's got a blob of grease on there basically. Okay, I've turned the locos around, and as you can see, some more weathering visible. Put more grease faded into the back well down here, using weathering powders wet with water and a fine paintbrush. Just travel down the side here, see more grease and dirt and rust stains. And then we go to the 24 on the other side again, similar to the side. More spillages on the fuel tanks, the fuel. What I've just realised I've missed is the back end of the buffers here. So I do need to do that because that's completely clean, which wouldn't be the case. I've missed that. I'll sort that out later. So this is what I've used. This is the medium rust weathering powder, which I've used on certain areas on the loco body, around the grills, things like that, very lightly. Don't want too much of this, but it's a very good weathering powder, medium rust, Humbrol. And then there's a wash, which I've nearly run out of, called Dark Tone. This was from a Games Workshop, which I'm not into, but this is brilliant. This did all the nooks and crannies where you get the oil that's spilt into little gullies, things like that. So that's a wash, and I'm very impressed with that. Next to that is the Nuln oil, which I've used a little bit of that, and I've used that in areas where I put a little bit of powder on top of it where the oil's dried up. So a little bit of that, a little bit of this soot weathering powder from Humbrol. The Nuln oil, which I never pronounced properly, is from Citadel. Again, it's from a Games Workshop. And the white weathering powder is for the O3 that I just showed you, to tone the blue colour down as if the sunlight has bleached it. So basically it's ultraviolet rays, isn't it, that bleaches the paint. So it's been left outside, that's been bleached by this white pigment you get, shading if you like, fading away on the loco, due for another coat of paint, as you used to see, probably still do. So they're the five elements of use for that. Obviously a paintbrush as well. So you need a really soft paintbrush. I've done some weathering tips before, so I don't want to take you through the whole thing, but this works well. Okay, the next loco I weathered here recently is this Class 22 diesel locomotive. Seen pictures of these. Obviously it's non-preserved anymore, and they were left in a bad state towards the end. A lot of fading on the paintwork, which I've done here, and very dirty towards the end. So I've done sort of in between. Didn't want to make it too dirty, but I want to have that faded look, as you can see. Just take you through there. So added that white colour with some streaks of a rust. It's more of a dirt colour really. A little bit of soot colour as well. I sprayed the bogies slightly this time. And as you can see here added the spillage to the fuel tank there. This is a Dapol model. It looked too not right, not weathered, and this has made a huge difference. Obviously the exhaust port here, put more dirt on the top, more soot. I'll just turn this round. Okay, similar to the other side, more oil spillages, faded blue. Actually, the model stands up a little bit more now with the weathering. Okay, the front end, don't know whether this picks this out alright, but you can see added little streaks where it's been weathered, the grime's dribbled down to the bottom, and in the little bits around here where the lamp holders are, bit of grime in between there, that's just stuck behind it, and underneath the head code lights as well. On the buffers, again, let's wipe that bit off actually, it's a bit too much there. You can see a little bit of blob of grease. It picks it up, but you can just barely see that. That's with weathering powder and Nuln oil. And there's the other end with the grime on there. I don't think it picks it out on this camera. But there is grime in between the lamp brackets and things like that. I think the key is not to over weather a loco or anything really. I think there's a key to do the weathering and make it look good, unless it's rotting away in a siding, disused of course.